About the whole brain teaching method. It's a new trend in managing classrooms and many more. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
It is
not yet
loading. Yeah, it's loading.
Okay, it will take some time.
So guys, whenever you see the screen, just type something in the chat box. Yep, it's here now.
Can you
Very
see
good.
it?
Yeah, sure, we can see it clearly.
Okay, great. So as you can see on the screen, I'm going to talk to you about the basics of this method. So I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but only the basics, because there are a lot more. But I'm going to direct you to where to dig more when it comes to this method. So let's start. So the whole brain teaching method was founded in 1999 by 3 Southern California teachers. And if you are a teacher from America, I guess you are familiar with this method because it's widely spread in the USA. The WEP is an active teaching method designed to maximize students' engagement in lessons, positive interactions with their classmates, and educational fun. So we no longer have the student in our classrooms. The WEP uses what we call model and repeat to join the right side and left side of the brain in student learning, with the idea that if the entire brain is engaged, there is no room left for misbehavior or distraction. And for many K-12 teachers, especially in the USA, the WEP has become their primary teaching strategy. As I said a minute ago, today our focus is going to be on the basics. But as you can see on the screen, there are more. There are the super improver, there are character education, there is classroom rules, scoreboard, beloved Russells, and power-ups. So when it comes to the basics, they are simply 4. Number 1, the attention getter, or what we call class, yes. Number 2, the brain engager, or what we call mirror words. Number 3, 1 point at a time. And number 4, the collaborative learning, or what we call clap to teach and teach okay. So I promise you that this session is going to be a very highly interactive one. Get ready. Okay, number 1, the attention getter, or what we call class. Yes, you cannot teach if you don't have your students' attention. Agree? If you agree, please write in the chat box. Okay, so people are, sending their answer. They agree with me. Great. Let's see what this teacher has to say. Okay, can you see, can you watch the video? Can you hear the video? Is the picture clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, great. Okay. So I'm going to turn it from the beginning. Okay.
Class, yes, is our attention getter, and you cannot teach unless you have your students' attention. So this is how you teach your students. When I say class, you say yes. Class, yes. Class, yes. However I say class, you say yes. Class, class. Yes, yes. Hey, class.
Okay,
Hey,
simple,
yes.
right? Now let's see the application of some teachers with their students inside their classrooms.
Class, boom. Yes, yes, boom.
Sorry. So I guess it's very simple. The teacher say class, the students replies with yes, the same way the teacher says class. Okay, now I'd like to invite you all, okay, to try this with me. This is me in the video, okay, from the latest Nile TESOL conference in the American University in Cairo. And I tried this with my attendees. So now I'd like to invite you to respond as attendees to me in the video. Okay, let's do this together.
Class?
Yes.
Classy class?
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Okay,
Okay. Excellent.
let me ask you two questions.
Class?
Did you respond to my request? Write in the chat box, yes or no. Thank you. Okay. Okay, second question. Did you hear the reaction of the teacher toward the end of the video? They were doing what? What did they do? Yeah, after copying me, what did they do? Okay, excellent, Asma. Yes, they laughed, okay? They were having fun. So this actually method enhances the fun inside the classroom, okay? Yeah, okay, great. So this is simply number one, the attention getter or class, yes. Let's move to the second step of the basics of this method, which is the brain engager. How do I engage my students' brains, okay? Or what we call the mirror words. How do I get 100% student engagement? Let's see how.
Mirror words.
Mirror words.
This is my brain.
This is my brain.
Right hemisphere.
Right hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Right hemisphere.
Right hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
So as you can see here in the video, okay, the teacher started by saying mirror words, and then the students start to act as mirrors to their teacher, imitating her gestures and words. And then when she said mirrors off, that means that she's done, okay? So again, I'd like to invite you to act as students to this teacher, and I'm gonna turn on this video one more time, and let's do it together.
Mirror words.
Mirror words.
This is my brain.
This is my brain.
Right hemisphere.
Right hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Right hemisphere.
Right hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Left hemisphere.
Okay, so did you have fun doing it? Share with me your ideas in the chat box. Yeah, okay. Happy to hear that. Great. Thank you. Okay. Excellent. Okay. I'm happy to hear that you're having fun with me. Okay. So this was number 2, mirror words. Let's move to number 3. The 1-minute lesson. How do I use direct instruction? Whether you are delivering content or giving instructions for an activity, this much is true. The more we talk, the more students we lose. Let's see what this teacher did with his students.
Mirror words.
Mirror words.
What is an energy pyramid?
What is an energy pyramid?
An energy pyramid
An energy pyramid
is a model
is a model
that will show us
that will show us
the flow of energy
the flow of energy
through an ecosystem.
through an ecosystem.
One more time.
One more time.
Energy pyramid.
Energy pyramid.
It's a model.
It's a model.
It's showing us
It's showing
the
us
flow of energy
the flow of energy
through an ecosystem.
through
So
an
as you can
ecosystem.
see here in this video, the teacher taught only one point, which was the definition of the energy pyramid, okay? And he used number 2 and 3 together, saying mirror words, explaining one point, and then mirrors off. The students were acting like the previous students as mirrors. Now, I'd like to invite you one more time to act as students to this teacher in the video. I'm going to turn on the video one more time and let's do it together. Okay, let's start.
Mirror words.
Mirror words.
What is an energy pyramid?
What is an energy pyramid?
An energy pyramid
An energy pyramid
is a model
is a model
that will show us
that will show
the
us
flow of energy
the flow of energy
through an ecosystem.
through an ecosystem.
One more time.
One more time.
Energy pyramid.
Energy pyramid.
It's a model.
It's a model.
It's showing us
It's showing
the
us
flow of energy
the flow of energy
through an ecosystem.
through an ecosystem.
Okay, did you have fun? If you did, please write in the chat box. Okay, great. So I hope the picture is clear, you know? Okay. If you want me to repeat anything, please let me know. So in order to prepare yourself, okay, and prepare for this 1-minute bullet point, you need to break your lesson down into bullet points, and each one should take 1 minute in teaching it. Number 2, you need to teach 1 point at a time, and each bullet point should be taught with what we call memory gestures. And let me stop here for a few minutes. When it comes to gestures, we have 2 types of gestures. We have what we call the memory gestures, and we have what we call the social gestures. So the social gestures are the ones we use within our social interactions. For example, when I say hi, when I say what's up, when I say, for example, bye-bye. But the memory gestures are the ones we think about when preparing our lessons. So for example, and I'm speaking about myself here with my students, when I explain verb to be to my students, I always associate it with this movement of a crown, of a king. Why? To remind them that verb to be doesn't need a helping verb in negative or interrogative. So whenever I do this, they remember that we don't need a helping verb. Okay, now let's move to the fourth and final point of the basics of this method, which is the collaborative learning, or what we call teach okay. How do I turn my students into teachers? Now let's watch this video together.
I'm Heidi Martin, Whole Brain Teaching Executive Board Member, and I want to talk to you guys about the last piece in our Whole Brain Teaching cycle, our collaboration piece, Teach OK. So you already know we start with our attention getter, class yes. Then we need to keep our students' attention, and we do that with our brain engager, mirror words, or hands and eyes. And once we are engaging their brains, we're teaching them something. That's our direct instruction piece, a 20 to 60 second lesson. And we follow that up and end our cycle with our collaboration part, which is our teach okay. And it looks like this. I clap 2 times and say teach. My students clap 2 times and say, okay, and with big full turns, they are ready to teach their neighbor using giant gestures everything that we just learned. Now they teach this over and over again until I complete that whole brain teaching cycle and call them back with our attention getter, class yes.
Teach.
Okay.
Teach.
Teach.
Okay.
Okay, so as you can see, simply the teacher after explaining her point, she claps or he claps 2 times and she says teach, and the students respond by clapping 2 times and say okay. With a full turn, they turn to the one sitting next to them and start explaining the point that the teacher have just told them. Now, when doing this, the students practice a very intellectual skill, which is paraphrasing. And paraphrasing means that the kids are explaining in their own words, and kids do not truly understand until they can translate what they have heard into their own words. And I want you to think, you know, a little bit back when you were students. Sure, you had this situation of explaining something to your friend in school. So whatever you explain to your friend in school or college, you won't never forget, right? We all know this by experience. Okay, so let me ask you this question now. What should you do as a teacher during Teach Okay? What do you think? Can you please write in the chat box? Okay, so Ms. Samira said, observe, excellent. Okay, what else? We have a very famous word. Yes, Sally, monitor, monitoring, very good. Okay, so the teacher should be monitoring her students. Yeah, so as you walk around the room, checking comprehension, you'll know whether to repeat that point again or to move on to the next point. And this is the simplest and most powerful formative assessment you'll ever use with your students. Why? Why do you think? Because you're evaluating your students' understanding every 60 seconds. Wow. Now, I'm going to turn on a video of an algebra teacher demonstrating the whole thing to you in 5 minutes. Okay, let's watch it together.
Class? Yes. Today we're going to learn about the slopes of lines. Now, there's 4 types of lines. We have lines that go up, lines that go down, horizontal lines, and vertical lines. Mirror me, please. So there's 4 types of lines. We have lines that go up, lines that go down, horizontal lines, and vertical lines. North, I'd like you to tell the South about the 4 types of lines we have. Teach.
Okay. Vertical lines, how many horizontal lines?
Class? Yes. What I really liked about that is everybody was mirroring each other. That's really good.
Oh yeah.
Now, I have a really sad story to tell you today. It's about this guy named Joe. This is Joe right here. And in this particular story, Joe has a disease. And and his disease is that he can only walk to the right. Give me an So when Joe stands on this line and he walks to the right, he goes up. So my slope is positive. When Joe stands on this line and he walks to the right, he goes down, so our slope is negative. So near me please. When Joe is standing on the line that goes up, he walks up the line, the slope is positive. When Joe stands on a line and he walks down, the slope is negative. South, tell the north about the two types of lines we just discussed, how the slope is positive when Joe goes up and negative when Joe goes down. Teach.
Okay.
Now on our other two lines, we have horizontal lines. Mirror me, please. So we have a horizontal line. Now on a horizontal line, here's Joe standing on a line. When Joe walks to the right, he doesn't go up or down, so there is no change. So the slope of that line is 0. Now when Joe stands on a vertical line and he walks to the right, he falls off the line, breaks into so many pieces that he is undefined. We cannot even define him as Joe anymore. So on a horizontal line, no change, the slope is 0. On a vertical line, Joe falls off, undefined. North, please tell the south about the horizontal and vertical slopes of lines. Teach.
Okay. Up or down, so it's 0. And then he walks.
Class? You know right there, but I didn't hear a lot of people having Joe fall off the line and break into many pieces, so I'm going to take a point for that. Now, near me one last time here. There's 4 types of lines. Lines that go up when the slope is positive. Lines that go down when the slope is negative. We have horizontal lines, the slope is 0. And when we have vertical line, Joe falls off. Breaks into so many pieces, he is good. Now it's time for your quiz. Here's your quiz. Now you're not going to say anything. When I point to one of these graphs up here, you're just going to tell me if the slope is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Okay. Let's go with this one. You have negative, you're right, because imagine Joe standing on the line, he's walking down. Let's try this one. Good, everybody has positive because Joe's walking up. Slope is 0 because there's no change for Joe, he doesn't go up or down. Negative. Excellent, I'm going to give you a point for that.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like you guys are understanding how to figure out what slope is. Nice job today.
So as you can see, very short lesson to the point, and it summarizes everything we said today. I just want to highlight something that when it comes to Teach OK, if you noticed, the teacher divided her students to north and south. And one time she asked the north to explain to the south. And then the next point, she asked the south to explain to north. Sometimes with my students, I would stick to one point and I ask, for example, A's to explain to B's the point, and then I use the word switch, and then B's would explain to A's the same point. So what I'm trying to say that you can take this as a starting point, in your classroom, but you can modify it, and add your own touches to it according to the needs of your students. Okay. So if it was a face-to-face session, I would have invited you to act as students to me as a teacher, and we would have explained the basics of this method in 1 minute lesson. But I'd like to invite you to act as students to me, but through this video, which was again from a face-to-face Nile TESOL conference in the American University in Cairo. Ready? Hello, people, ready? Type it in the chat box. Yes, okay, great. So let's demonstrate it together. Okay.
Mirror words.
Now I need to see your head. Okay. The whole brain teaching method. The whole brain teaching method. Basics actually of the whole brain teaching methods are four. Step one.
Step one.
Class yes.
Class yes.
Step two.
Step two.
Mirror words.
Mirror words.
Step three.
Step three.
1 point at a time.
1 point at a time.
Step four.
Step four.
Teach.
Okay.
Perfect. Mirrors off.
Mirrors off.
Okay, now A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. A is you're gonna teach to B's what I've just said. Teach.
Okay.
Okay.
And of course, after they end up teaching each other, I use the attention getter again and I say, classy class. They would repeat yes, yes, and then bring their attention to me one more time. Okay.
Here.
Now let's come to the pros and cons of this method. Very important. The pros. Actually, you need to know that the web classes are fast-paced, as you can see. Students don't know when the class yes, teach okay, or mirror word activities will pop up, so they constantly pay attention. When you enter a class, you'll feel the energy and enthusiasm as students become active participants in an instruction. You might even think they are playing games and having fun at the expense of learning. They are having fun, and it's building a love of learning. Now, let's discuss the cons. In truth, if web is not delivered correctly, it seems like it could become rote drills like old school memorization. Again, when not delivered correctly, students can get caught up in the goofiness of the teaching method and forget the importance of what they are doing. So their focus is no longer on the content, it's on the technique, okay? Shy students may feel uncomfortable with so many hand and body gestures and the need to interact so often with classmates. Mostly, and from experience of many teachers, this passes, but be aware of those students who have difficulty. One last step. You need to train kids on each step one at a time. Give them their time, give them, consider their pace, and if they failed to do it correctly, then it's not their fault. It might be the teacher's fault, okay? He didn't explain it clearly or deliver it well. My reference was the Whole Brain Teaching website. If you are keen to do professional development, you can visit their website. As you can see, the link is on the slide. They offer free course to be a certified web coach. And it's amazing, really amazing to go and read and explore more about this method. You will also find many of the videos on this method on YouTube. Thank you so much. And I'll be happy to listen to any question you have, Let's see your questions. So I can see that someone said need presentation material. I'll share, as you can see on the screen, this is my email. You can email me and I'll be happy to share the presentation with you, no problem.
Yeah, actually, Noha, thanks for the wonderful presentation. Yeah, if we take a look at the chat box, the people here, you know, are really thrilled, are really excited about your session. Natasha says, thank you very much, Ms. Noha. It was really fun. Raga, I really admired this presentation. Ms. Samira, thank you. Very interesting. Iman, thanks a lot for your efforts. Shaima, amazing, Noha, as usual. Mariam, thank you so much for sharing this awesome list of practical tips. Regina, thank you very much for your top ideas, dear speaker. This was the most useful and interesting for me. Thank you in advance. Iman, again, really interested and engaging. Sally, great efforts. You know, lots of wonderful comments in the chat box. Gabby,
thank you so
I
much.
used to use this method in my school years ago in Turkey. It worked quite well, especially the scoreboard for classroom management. It worked for younger grades though. So we're glad it worked.
I'd like
for you,
to give a comment
learners.
here. Sure. I'd like to give a comment actually here. It doesn't work only for young learners. It works also for adult learners. So I'm teaching in the university. I tried it myself. Exactly. So I tried it myself in the university with university students, and they actually liked it a lot. They even gave me a nickname. So my nickname in the university is Miss Noha Classy Class. This is my nickname between the university students. So actually it works with all age groups. Yes.
Okay, we have another question here from Mariam. She says, what to do with the students who might be reluctant to respond in the ways we suggested them? That's an important one.
Yeah, this is an important one. Actually, as you can see, it might be related to their character. They might be shy student. And as we said a minute ago, you need to give extra care to these students. You need to find out why they are reluctant. What's, what if there is something they don't like about it, try to help them open to you and speak out what they feel inside. This is one way to solve the problem.
Well, actually, no, I think that setting classroom rules from the very beginning and, not allowing any exceptions at all would help a lot in this. Because exceptions are the way that, the door that reluctant students use, right? So once you make an exception, they will do whatever they like. Okay.
I would say also that at the very beginning, many students are, in a state of a shock, sometimes they don't believe what you're asking them to do. Okay. But after a while, they get used to it. And there is what we, of course, which is called the peer pressure. Okay. So if the whole class is doing it, then it's better to do it as well. Yeah. And go with the flow.
Exactly. So, well, Noha, it was really wonderful to be having you today. The people are still thanking you in the chat box. So Iman says, I guess adults are able to cope up better with fast-paced lessons. What do you think?
Sorry, can you please repeat it again?
She guesses that adults are able to cope up better with fast-paced lessons. What do you think about that?
I would say yes, they are. I would say also, I would talk, about this from my own experience, So with my university students, I feel that the English lessons are something like appetizers or refreshers. They want to come to the class and have fun. The English classrooms, the English subject, nature is not like any other subject. We're talking about different things. We're talking about a variety of topics. We're having fun, So the classroom and the lesson is full of activities. So yeah, they are coping really well with the fast-paced lesson. They want something to refresh them in a hectic day. That's what I would say.
Yeah, actually, we can see some other comments from some colleagues at Paris University in Alexandria. We can see Karima. Yeah, she says, thank you so much, Noha, very inspiring. Huwaida from Alexandria, thanks a bunch. Asma Sabri, thank you so much. Isaac, thank you, Noha. M needs the presentation. Yeah, we already talked about this. Noha will send me, will email me the presentation. I will upload all of them on our Facebook page, facebook.com/educast.eg. So you will find the recordings of the whole conference there. You will find lots of useful stuff. Yeah. The people are still asking about the recording of the session to watch it over again. So yeah, they can see the recording on YouTube. Ellie Murphy says, I see why classroom management is needed in short bursts, but is it good for our learners to work with peer pressure, get used to drills, teacher-centered? Very different from last session. Thank you for making me think. Yeah.
Okay, is this a question? I'm not sure.
Yes.
I think part of it is a question.
She's saying, is it good for our learners to work with peer pressure, get used to drills, teacher-centered?
Well,
because it's somehow different from a previous presentation. Moving towards student-centeredness. You see what I mean? But the way I see things, we're talking about classroom management. So the teacher sometimes needs to take over, needs to take some responsibility, because the students won't manage their class by themselves, right? They need the help of the teacher. But talking about student-centeredness, so we're talking about, techniques in presenting language, in presenting skills. That's what I think. What do you think, Noha?
Well, let's take the question bit by bit because it actually contains many things. So let's talk about the peer pressure first. So I think the peer pressure is something that, comes with the school environment. It's something that students would have to go through. We all went through this, right? So I don't think there is no one here in the presentation who didn't or who wasn't exposed to peer pressure. And sometimes it's happening, you can, without, subconsciously, without intention. So, but it's there. And you learn, and the students learn how to deal with it by time. Now and is it good to get used to drills? Actually, this is what we said when it comes to the cons. You have to beware, okay, not to turn your classroom to the old school memorization. You have to really be aware of this, okay? When it comes to the teacher-centered, I wouldn't say it's a teacher-centered because it's, it's two-way, actually interactive classroom. So the teacher, as Muhammad said, she's using some method. It's a method to manage her classroom, but also she's giving the students, okay, a chance to give their input and to respond to what she's saying or doing, okay, to share the knowledge with their peer. So she's giving them, in a way, the responsibility to do so. And if we recall what the algebra teacher did with her students, there was some sort of a scoreboard, but I didn't talk about this. She used gamification. So whenever the students do something correct, like the way she asked them to do, they would score a point. And whenever she they didn't do like what she asked them to do, she would score a point. And this is the idea of gamification. So as I said at the beginning, this is the basics of this method, but it has a lot more. It has character building. It has classroom rules. It has gamification. It has many, many more. That's why I would say, take your time, go explore more, and see and watch more videos, read more, visit their website. You'll be really happy with what you're gonna find out.
Yeah, so actually we have some other questions, but we ran out of time. So I recommend that, of course, all of the other questions will be answered in the conference magazine. We will be working
I just want to, maybe I can ask answer the last question of
is it a new teaching method in education?
Yeah, actually, it was founded in 1999, so it's not that old. But as I said before, if you are a teacher from the USA, you probably will be familiar with it because it's widely spread over there. So yeah, they are using it in many schools over there, and they are getting really good results with their students using this method. That's why it's widely spread. Yeah.